down. I'm an OSU grad. Hideaway was my favorite place ever. The best thing that's happened to Bartlesville in years is Hideaway coming to town. And is it true that we all get free pizza today? I heard that somewhere. First of all, I'd like to thank the Bartlesville Public School Foundation for this great event. It's always so much fun to see everybody, and it's just grown and grown. I mean, it's amazing to see how many people are here. And I do have to say something about Sue Smith and congratulate Ann Purvis too, who I never knew. But Sue Smith, when they put the schools together, and I was one of the few that came from Sooner over to College High, and the two Sues, Sue Reynolds and Sue Smith, were so welcoming and just immediately felt a connection with them. And I will always, always appreciate both of those ladies, and we do miss Sue. Thank you. There's really no need to explain how or why Karen Williams was chosen for the Bartlesville Educator Hall of Fame. All you have to do is look around and see the number of people who are here to help honor her. Former students, parents, co-workers, and administrators. Several have driven from out of state to come. Some have taken off work. And some of us just had to set an alarm and get up early. Karen, they're worth the sacrifice and effort. Apparently, she was destined to be a teacher because according to her brother, she was always bossing him around. Now, I won't share all the things that I have learned about Karen through the course of all this from her brother, but now I totally understand how she could relate to those little honoring kids in her class. Her brother had a career in education and became an elementary principal for many years. And I'm just guessing it was in hopes that someday he could hire her and boss her around for once. But that never happened. Her teaching career began in the 1960s and took her to the LA Watts area, Tacoma, Washington, Idaho, and finally to Bartlesville, where she taught at Lincoln, Ranch Heights, and she was one of the originals that came when it opened in 1985, and she stayed there until her retirement in 1999. But I first knew Karen because I was Mark, Brooks, and Clint's teacher, and she was their mom. If you were around in the 1980s, you know how outstanding the Davis boys were in the classroom, in sports, and as young men. Don't ever let anybody tell you that a single mom can't raise 3 strong, compassionate, responsible, and respectful boys. Here, I'm going to get talking about you guys. Karen did it. She was at every game, every event. She sacrificed to buy leather jackets, new clothes, and always putting their needs ahead of her own. She even speculated with Mark whether there would be scrambled eggs in heaven. Her loving spirit was the foundation in their home, and her boys witnessed her unselfish, generous, and caring qualities that transcended to her students as they delivered Christmas presents to some of her less privileged students and families. As I talked with former students, parents, co-workers, and principals, the same words just kept coming up to describe her and the stories that go along with them. Dedicated, compassionate, motivator, team player, great communicator, positive, encourager, always willing to share, dependable, striving for excellence, nurturing. One of her teaching assistants who worked every day with her in the classroom said, "I never felt like I worked for Karen, I worked with Karen. She did so many wonderful things that people never knew about." One of her students said, "Mrs. Williams made each student feel special, no matter who they were or where they were from." A co-worker who's still teaching said when she's faced with challenging situations, she always asks herself, "I wonder what Karen would do in this situation." One parent said that Mrs. Williams was the measurement that all future teachers were compared to. 2 of her principals gave her credit for helping them through their first year as administrators. So Karen was not only teaching students, but she was teaching parents, co-workers, and principals as well. Discipline was another word mentioned quite often. Back in the day, I think Darren was talking about SWATs. Our secretary told me that she was a witness to one of Karen's spankings. The number of SWATs depended on the number of letters that were in the bad word that the student said. The secretary was in shock because in this one particular case, it was quite lengthy. Needless to say, the student learned to choose his words more carefully, or at least shorter words. This is the same struggling boy who had quite a challenging home life. Karen and her boys, her own sons, would take Thanksgiving, Christmas dinners to his house or invite him to their house for a few hours of experiencing a peaceful, loving family. She continued to check on him and connect with him long after he was in her class. Her relationship with her students aren't just during that school year. They have no time limits. I wish I could say that this boy's story has a happy and successful ending, but that's not the case. Through the years, he has stayed in touch and on occasion will call Karen, Colette, from jail or prison. She always takes the call, and through the years, he knows that at least someone, his first grade teacher, still loves and cares about him. For me, the one thing that I've always admired and respect about Karen is that she would request some of the challenging kids. While others were distancing themselves from tough kids and families, Karen was reaching out to them. She knew she could make a difference, not only at school, but in their life, just like accepting a collect call. Karen, along with many other teachers, had special events like gingerbread houses, and many times it was an opportunity to involve parents. The Mother's Day tea was one of the highlights of the year, and if a parent couldn't attend, she would find an honorary parent to take their place, so every student would have a special adult at the tea. Ahead of time, Karen would have each student draw a picture of their mother. I wish Karen Cisco was here to tell this story, because it's great. One little boy drew a very detailed picture of his mother. Since his mother couldn't attend the tea, Karen took the picture to show to his honorary mother, who was one of our reading assistants. This little boy had drawn a picture of his mother, sitting on a couch, stark naked, with all body parts. His honorary teacher knew she could not live up to that, so Karen had the little boy come visit his honorary mother, really look her over carefully, and so he could draw another picture of her. His new picture showed a lady fully dressed with necklace, earrings, curly hair, and glasses. Karen always had Plan B. Now I see some of you looking around the room at some of the Kane parents that are here, wondering if it was one of them that the picture was from. And just let me say, the next picture was not of any of the mothers that are here in attendance. Another story from Karen's book of You Can't Make These Things Up, and my personal favorite, was when she was teaching second grade. Karen always had great communication with the parents and built a close, trusting relationship with them. One day she received a note from a son who was having digestive issues and was concerned he would not have an accident at school. The mother made several attempts to spell the correct medical term, but finally gave up, scratched out the misspelled word, and correctly spelled the slang word. That day he had a free pass to go to the bathroom anytime he wanted. Now, if we want to play Wheel of Fortune and anybody wants to buy a vowel or a consonant, we can figure out the slang word, but I bet you can do it. Students and parents would go above and beyond for Karen. One year, 3 little first grade girls, with parents' approval, wanted to make a Christmas dinner for her and deliver it to her house. It was snowy and icy as each girl insisted on carrying their own dish to Mrs. Williams' door. One girl made a pink lemonade pie, and just as they rang the doorbell, she slipped and fell, dipping her nose into the pie. Karen answered the door just as the pink lemonade pie girl looked up, trying to keep from crying. Karen told her that a nose print in the pie made it that much better. It was a memorable Christmas gift from 3 little girls who loved and idolized their favorite teacher. Now for the rest of the story. The pink lemonade pie girl grew up to be an elementary teacher, and a wonderful one, just like the teacher who inspired her, Mrs. Williams. And she is in this room. So the one who is blushing really, or has pie on her face. During my 35 years of teaching in Bartlesville, I've taught with some of the most outstanding teachers and people, and many of you are in this room. But there's that rare one that stands out because she embodies the total package of a great teacher and a great person, Karen Williams.